until you're able to work on yourself, in a mental structure, finding happiness and accessing happiness remains a challenge for all of us. That is one. The other reason is the very nature of happiness. Happiness is highly elusive by nature. It is actually a fleeting reality. The reason
Hmm.
why I say it is a fleeting reality is because it doesn't remain static. The finish line of happiness keeps moving with time. It grows and evolves as we evolve in our life. That is to say that you may think that you will be happy if you attain XYZ in your life, but by the time you attain XYZ in your life, your mind is already calibrating the next happiness
Yes.
goal. And therefore,
Yes.
attaining happiness and sustaining happiness remains a universal pursuit. And
We all have a seeking in life. After all, that's what life is full of. We are born, raised to be good humans, all for one single purpose. Yes, the purpose differs from person to person, but the result of the purpose is one: happiness. Everyone wants it, but has no idea how to sustain it. Let's hear more from Neha, who is a happiness coach, and she has certain tips on how we can attain happiness and truths attached to it.
Hello and welcome to the Wominspiria podcast. I'm very proud to invite Neha Pant Tewari today to the podcast because she is someone who's bringing happiness to people. And happiness is something which people have been undermining about. And it is a factor which has been underrated for quite a long time within our lives, in our lives. And Neha is going to tell us that why and how is happiness a key factor in our lives. So, hello and welcome to the podcast, Neha.
thank you so much, Revati. Such a pleasure and honor being here. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
inviting me.
thank you very much. The honor is all mine, and the pleasure is all mine, I would say. Okay. So, Neha, when I begin my podcast, I begin with asking my guests what are the two affirmations that they say to the mirror every morning? Please tell me those.
Sure. So, off late, I have very recently started what is called as this high fine ritual, looking at myself into the mirror.
Hmm.
Every morning when I look at myself in the mirror in the bathroom, and after I'm done with my brushing and all of that, I give myself a high five on the mirror and I say to myself, looking into my eyes, you are perfect and it is going to be a great day today. So these are the
Wow.
two things which I say to myself every morning, and I give myself a mirror high five.
High five.
That's
That
how I
is
start
much
my morning.
needed. Yes, yes. You're perfect. Of course you are. Everyone is. None of
Absolutely.
God's make, yes, none of God's, whatever God made and whoever God made are perfect. And it takes time to
Absolutely.
realize it.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of time to realize it. And every day, because our mind is so cluttered with negativity, the only thing that we tend to focus on ourselves is that self-criticality about ourselves. And starting every morning, accepting yourself the way you are and calling yourself as a perfectly blessed creation of God kind of leads you to have a more peaceful day. That is what
Beautiful,
my belief
beautiful.
is.
Yes. Tell us why, what's happiness? And
Sure. So
yes.
So let me begin with what happiness really is. So happiness is actually a state of mind, Revati. It is a self-generated state of mind which may or may not be influenced by the external realities of our life. Now, as a state of mind, happiness is always present within us, right? But is it as accessible as it is present? Not really. And do you
Hmm.
know what is the key reason for that? The key reason for that is our cluttered state of mind. 50 to 80% of the times, our mind is cluttered with negativity. It is cluttered with negative self talks. It is cluttered with negative memories. It is cluttered with negative feelings. It is cluttered with negative belief patterns and negative emotions. or unresourceful emotions, so to say. And therefore, accessing this state of mind, which we call happiness, tends to be a challenge for all of us. Now, until and unless you're able to sort yourself mentally, until you're able to work on yourself, in a mental structure, finding happiness and accessing happiness remains a challenge for all of us. That is one. The other reason is the very nature of happiness. Happiness is highly elusive by nature. It is actually a fleeting reality. The reason
Hmm.
why I say it is a fleeting reality is because it doesn't remain static. The finish line of happiness keeps moving with time. It grows and evolves as we evolve in our life. That is to say that you may think that you will be happy if you attain XYZ in your life, but by the time you attain XYZ in your life, your mind is already calibrating the next happiness
Yes.
goal. And therefore,
Yes.
attaining happiness and sustaining happiness remains a universal pursuit and a constant chase for most of us.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, in fact, that takes me to the next question. Like, we keep chasing for happiness. And as you said, that once we attain something that we've been seeking for, and we set mind saying that if I achieve this, I'll be happy. But then that thing gives you a temporary happiness. But that is not the ultimate happiness
Absolutely.
that you've been seeking for. So, when does one attain it? And why is it so difficult to attain?
So, now, there is nothing that is called as the ultimate happiness. Let me
Yes.
give you a moment to blow your mind. Okay.
Hmm.
Positive psychology has this thing very firmly stated that nothing in the world or no one in the world can bring
Hmm.
you lasting happiness.
Of
While nothing
course.
in the world can bring you lasting happiness, it is our nature to be happy, whole, and complete. You know, that is what positive psychology talks about lasting happiness. Now, what we do know about happiness, so there are a number of things that we do not know about happiness, right? We know that it is very difficult to define. We also know that it is very, very subjective in nature, it is highly elusive in nature, and it requires a lot of mental work to attain happiness. What we do know about happiness is that it is the opposite of unhappiness. Am I right?
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
stop doing things that make you unhappy, if you stop doing things that irritate you or those that frustrate you, possibly you will become happy over a long time, right?
Hmm.
But what is the guarantee that the happiness that you get from stopping to do things that irritate you is going to last you a long time or last you
Yes.
forever? No guarantee whatsoever. And on
Hmm.
top of that, it is not really feasible if we are able to leave things that, help us become that kind of lead us to frustration. Because for all you know, those may be inescapable, important facts of life, right? So what do we
Hmm.
do? What we do, Refti, is we create constant, consistent moments of happiness.
Hmm.
Happiness has three levels to it. Okay. The first level is pleasure based happiness. That is something which comes from savoring the moment or using your senses, eating an ice cream, perhaps, or perhaps watching a Netflix movie or something like that. Okay. Using your senses and savoring the moment. That is a short term happiness which doesn't last for a long time. Okay. The next level above this, where happiness tends to last a little longer, is engagement based happiness. This is where you use your head and your intelligence. This is the happiness which you source from uh, possibly a hobby, engaging yourself in a hobby or a
Okay.
passion project, or perhaps a certain, engagement activity which kind of puts you in a state of flow where you lose the sense of time and space. All right. The third level of happiness, where the spells of happiness tend to last you longer, or rather longer than these two happiness, which is longest possible is purpose-based happiness, which is called as a meaningful life. If you're
Hmm.
able to figure your passion out, if you're able to figure your purpose in life out, and if you're able to align your life activities and the relationships in your life in continuation with living your, you're living your pleasures and attaining your purpose, that is when the happiness which you get from those activities and living that life is what is going to be sustained over time. So this is pretty much how you manage the spells of happiness in your life.
It's
So
something which you are passionate about, something which gives you ultimate satisfaction, gives you ultimate
yes,
happiness. Yes. Hmm.
something which gives you ultimate satisfaction, which lasts that spells of happiness for a longer time, is going to
Hmm.
give you more and more happiness. Okay. Now, if you
Yes.
look at the self actualization model, what does that say? It says that your basics need to be addressed first: your safety
Yes.
needs, your food needs, the needs for your shelter, all those things have to be satisfied first, right? And then your self esteem and relationship needs, right? After these two are satisfied, comes your self actualization need, right? That is when you think you are at the epitome of being at your highest satisfaction level. And that is what gives you the ultimate insight into what makes you happy and what you can do more of.
But then again, as you said, the three levels of gaining happiness, of achieving happiness. Um, as you say, what I understood as a commoner is like it evolves, happiness evolves,
Yes, it
and has
does.
it, and also as you quoted, it has different definitions at different stages of life.
100%.
So as a child achieves happiness in smallest of the things, in smallest of the achievements that he gets. That is ultimate happiness for him. So as you grow, as you age, as you gain wisdom, as they say, your definition of happiness entirely changes.
100%. Happiness, apart from being elusive, is also highly subjective in nature. Okay. It
Yes, yes,
differs from person to person, it
yes,
differs from moment to moment, it differs from culture to culture, it differs from geography to geography, it differs from situation to situation, and it
yes.
also differs from age to age, as you're saying.
Hmm,
Okay.
hmm,
Now,
hmm.
research has it that happiness is so subjective that, if you are to measure happiness, then a happiness that a person feels 1 month after winning a lottery is exactly the same as the happiness a person feels 1 month after breaking their hip bone when they are on a path to recovery. That is how subjective happiness is. And that
Hmm.
is one of the major reasons why there is no set definition for happiness. Researchers and psychologists have come up with n number of definitions, but not
Hmm.
one has been found to be all conclusive or universally acceptable. So when it
Yes,
comes to defining happiness, the mantra is to each his own, right? So you are at a liberty to pick and choose the definition which resonates the most with you and call it your own.
of course it does.
For me, what happiness is may be completely different for you,
Yes.
depending upon the stage and place in life that you are. So
Hmm.
what is important is happiness should not come from the outward. It must come from the inward of a person. And that is another reason why it is so difficult that people don't find happiness, because everybody is looking for happiness outside. They are looking for happiness in other people's happiness, whereas it
Hmm.
actually resides right within you.
We lose ourselves in the journey of satisfying others.
Well said.
Right. So that is where, that is the first step. If you ask me, that is the first step where you lose happiness, the happiness that
Yes,
you
indeed.
deserve, actually. So, and also
100%.
in our Indian society, as you would have seen in the soaps, they portray it in such a way like if the family is happy, if your everybody around you is happy, you must be all obviously you'll be happy.
My God, yeah, that is so true. You are
That kind
assumed
of
to be
portrayal,
happy
yes,
if your family is happy. Yeah,
happy.
yeah, absolutely. Which
So,
may or may not be true.
yes, of course, that kind of portrayal gives kind of it misleads people.
100%.
Misleads.
It's very wrong
Hmm.
to kind of just assume that, if it is a happy place, if it is a happy household, then probably each and every individual is certainly going to be happy right in there. So, yeah,
Yes,
true.
yes. So it's kind of a suppressed emotion. Uh, just because everybody around you is happy, so this one particular person is has to suppress it. Tell us about your success journey and tell us what motivated you to talk about happiness and bring it to people.
It's been a very enriching journey, to say the least. And it has been very enticing as well, because given all the learning and unlearning and relearning that happened at almost every stage of my life.
Hmm.
So I started off as a banker. Right after my MBA, I started off as a banker. I
All right.
worked in one of the country's premier bank for quite some time. And then I moved on to consulting. I
Hmm.
worked in one of the major business verticals of a big four for many number of years. And then I took a conscious and long sabbatical. While I was working, I was fairly happy. I did not have too many complaints. Okay. I was working with the best of the best. I was possibly working on best of the best projects. I was flourishing in a lot of ways, except for this one thing, Rifti. A part of me which was suppressed inside me was screaming to be let out. It was screaming to be heard. It wanted to be expressed and it wanted to be understood. And when it got a little too much for me, I took that sabbatical. And fortunately for me, my husband was moving over to command and I had to join him. So I took that sabbatical, and it also gave me the opportunity to fulfill my domestic responsibilities. And as
Hmm.
I moved with him, and as I saw the other part of life, which was me as somebody who's not working professionally, but working in a government setup, it gave me a lot of time to answer some very, very pertinent and very, very important and deep questions about myself. Okay.
Hmm.
And that is when I worked on my own ikigai. I worked on my own key strengths. I worked on my value system. I worked on my
Okay.
ecology in terms of what will work for me and what will not, given the
Hmm.
nomadic lifestyle that I have, right? More importantly, Refti, I worked on aligning my mind, body, and spirit to the work that I do. I did
Okay.
not want there to be too much of a difference or a distance between who
Hmm.
I am and what I do. I wanted
Okay.
my work to be my second nature. It should be an extension of myself. There should be no distinction between who I am and what I do. And that is how I gradually and very, very organically moved into mentoring, moved into coaching, moved into training, and found my niche in personal development and positive psychology. And that is pretty much how your success story was also born. So, this is what my journey looked like. And currently, I'm primarily working in three areas. One is personal development, the second is, of course, uh, positive psychology or happiness coaching, as we call it. Third is emotional intelligence. For me, Oprah Winfrey was one of the ladies whom I followed, whom I admired. And I remember her saying once that you can have all that you want, but not all at once. So I
Yes.
decided I will have everything that I want in my life. Maybe I will have it one stage at a time. And that is how I kind of progressed in my life.
Yes. Yes. So everything takes time.
100%. Everything takes
Yes.
time and everything is achievable, but nothing all at the same
Yes.
time.
Hmm. Of course. Of course. That sounds overwhelming. So imagine once
Yes,
you achieve
indeed.
it. So talking about today's world,
Sure.
happiness is become more of a commodity. Can you buy it? As
Oh,
people
wow.
say.
That's
Like,
such
see,
a
the people say
very
that I
sweet
took a
way of
2 day
putting it.
workshop. I took a
Anji.
3 day workshop. I took a crash course about happiness. I've heard people say that. It's become more of a commodity. What's your take
That's
on
a
it?
very, very relevant question. That's a very, very relevant question. Um, if we are talking about the relationship between money and happiness, is that what we're talking about? Right?
Yes. Yes.
So let's look at this more objectively, really.
Hmm.
Revati, what happens when you go to a mall, when
Hmm.
you're able to spend money on fine dining with your family and friends, right? When you're able to buy that pair of shoe or that possibly accessory which you've been wanting for such a long time, when you're able to buy those flight tickets to that vacation which you and your family have been wanting to go for years together, what happens?
Yes.
You feel happy, you feel elated, you feel mighty excited, and there are no two ways about that, right? You feel absolutely great about all of that, right? Now,
Yes.
here is what my question to you really is. For how long do you think you can sustain this happiness which you've been able to source by spending money? In case of a meal, the answer is probably till the next meal. In case of an accessory, the answer is probably 24 to 48 hours max, or probably till the moment you're able to use that accessory and experience that accessory, right? In case of a vacation, because it is an experience, it will last you all throughout your vacation. And by the time the vacation ends, your happiness will take a dip from there on, right? So, to answer your question, money can buy you comforts and convenience, which may or may not lead you to a short term happiness. Whenever it comes to a long term happiness, however,
Hmm.
external circumstances like money, power, fame, looks contribute only to 10 to 18% of your long term happiness. The kind of internal dialogue that you have within yourself,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
And that probably is the reason why, Revti, it is often said that happiness is an inside job. This is the reason why it is said that.
Correct.
So, this is what the relationship between money and happiness is.
Hmm. But again, as you said, it's all upon you. It's the way you perceive it.
110%. Happiness is something you can be in charge of. And that is the reason
Yes.
why I say that happiness is actually a decision. It is a
Hmm.
decision or a commitment that you make despite
Yes.
the changing reality. And
Hmm.
therefore, it is a choice that you make.
Of course. Of course. All right. Okay. So Neha, how does one practice, or how does one achieve happiness? What should I do every day? Okay, there are people saying you should meditate. Meditation helps. What do you suggest?
Happiness habits, what are they? They are basically, practicing happiness habits is basically practicing certain rituals, certain practices, certain actions and behavior, which are going to put you in a more resourceful state of mind, which will uplift your spirits, make you more agile, more energetic, and more productive in life. All right. So, first, I will not speak about a lot of them. Let me talk to you about at least three of them, including meditation. First is physical exercise. Okay. If you're able to move your body for 20 minutes every day, then over a sustained period of time, you will experience a surge of a neurotransmitter, which we called as endorphin. What is endorphin? Endorphin is a natural mood lifter. Okay. It lifts your mood up instantly and it makes you more productive. It makes you more energetic and it makes you more agile. Benefits of meditation are very well documented, be it a psychology journal or be it a medical journal, right? So, this is something, let me share this something very, very interesting about meditation with you. Practicing meditation for 20 minutes every day over a sustained period of time alters the structure of your brain. It shrinks your amygdala and it optimizes your hippocampus, which is to simply say that you become more calm in life. You become more and more centered in life. You react less and you respond more. All right. what it does is that it makes that state of mind which we call happiness, which we cannot, access because of negativity and clutter, because of your being centered, because of your being calmer, it makes that state of mind more and more accessible to you. So, when we spoke about negativity and deep clutter, we not being able to access happiness because of these, meditation is the antidote for that. And trust me, Refti, meditation will not show its result until it is 45 to 66 days. You will become more and more calmer only after you have practiced meditation over a consistent period of time. Because rewiring your brain, changing your brain chemistry doesn't happen overnight. It happens with constant practice, it happens with constant reassurance. Other thing is random act of kindness. Okay. If you are able to do something kind for somebody, if you are able to engage in altruism without thinking, what will I get from this? Okay. Just for the sake of being nice, if you're able to operate from a place of philanthropy, the happiness that evolves from that or emanates from that tends to stay much longer with you. It creates what is called as a ripple effect. You not only make that person happy, it comes back to you in multiple folds. And research has it that when it comes to comparing two sources of happiness, fun versus philanthropy, philanthropy has an upper hand so far as the spells of happiness are concerned. The happiness that you get out of doing something nice for someone or practicing philanthropy stays much longer with you as compared to the happiness that you attain by having fun or by indulging in your physical senses, like eating an ice cream or watching Netflix for that matter. So these are a few happiness habits which you can incorporate in your life and become more and more happy or grow that happiness uh, quotient in your life.
So it's
Okay.
I've actually made it a habit of mine to be there for people and be able to do something which I'm able to within my capability.
Hmm.
And that is when I've been more productive. I feel myself to be
Hmm.
more content and happy. And my relationships also have improved when I practice philanthropy. Yes. So that was a
Excellent.
lovely thing that you said. The first thing when you talk about happiness, uh, as you said, it begins from within. And many of us just redefine the actual definition, saying that if I'm happy, I should give up on this, I should give up on that, I should have a positive environment around me. I need to satisfy myself. I need to be happy for myself. But actually, happiness, it has an entirely different definition. So it actually is when you are able to make people around you happy, you are much happier.
See, that is very, very practically speaking. When you're
Hmm.
able to make people happy, you are happy. And when you
Hmm.
are happy, you're able to make people around you happy as well, right? So it works both
Yes.
ways. You know,
Correctly put.
that is the way
Correctly
it
put.
works. It
Yes.
works both ways. When you are happy, you will be able to make people happy. When people
Hmm.
are happy, that will be making you happy just as well, right? So
Yes.
that is pretty much how it works. And also, if you are looking for happy and if you are deprived of happiness, if you're able to do a small something, maybe smile at a stranger, maybe give a compliment, or maybe give a pat at a
Yes.
person's back, or maybe teach your mates children or something like that, or maybe just help a senior citizen cross a road, right? Or offer a seat to a senior citizen, doing those random acts of kindness without really asking for anything in return, not even happiness for that matter. Thinking that possibly I'm doing it because it is coming to me, it is not because I'm seeking happiness. If you're able to practice these, even if you're able to practice them thrice in a week, and jot them down in a journal, it'll shift
Hmm.
your happiness levels substantially, like you've
Yes.
experienced it for your own self, right?
True. Very true. Okay. So Neha, tell me, the generation of today, not only the generation of today, not only the youngsters of today, everybody in today's world, they are running behind something. We're not sure what, right? And as you said, happiness is, it's not long staying for them. What message would you convey to them? We are running behind something. Even I'm, I'm doing that. But I'm in the race as well. Everybody is. Hmm.
if if you are to look at people around you, you will notice that people have a very typical formula when it comes to chasing happiness, okay, or chasing success for that matter, okay.
Yes.
Actually, I would be more inclined to call her happen more focus on happiness right now. And
Hmm.
this formula, subtly or not so subtly, has been handed down to them from generations, okay? And it has been reinforced through their educational institutions, through their parents, through their peers, through their work environment, so on and so forth. What is this formula? The formula is that when you make progress, when you work hard, you will make progress and then you will become successful, and only then you will become happy in life. So, therefore, happiness comes after success, and happiness comes with a precondition. Okay, the
Yeah.
precondition is success. All right, so success is the precursor to happiness. This is what we have been seasoned to believe from time immemorial. Now,
Yes.
so for everybody, for just about everybody possible, what we know for sure is that once you will be successful, only then you will be happy in life, right? Now, here is what neuroscience has to talk about. Okay.
Hmm.
Neuroscience says that happiness fuels motivation. Happiness and optimism fuels motivation. Success is actually the offset of happiness. Happiness is the precursor to success and it is not the other way around. Why is that? That is simply because happiness and optimism fuel motivation, which in turn fuels progress, which in turn fuels productivity and achievement, right? So, happiness is very, very tightly put together or strung together with success. So much so that we tend to be confused whether we are chasing happiness or whether we are chasing success. And it also gives you an insight as to why it is important to savor the moment as it is rather than chasing the moments, thinking about receiving happiness and receiving success after a certain point in your time.
Yes. And seeking it from outside. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Beautiful, Neha. Beautiful. Yes. I guess, yes, that's a good rendition of uh, how to perceive happiness about and what happiness is all about. And also, like, it's like happiness is, it is the wheel of life. It,
Yes,
it,
it is the wheel of
it
life.
helps you to run your life. Yes. It
Absolutely.
gives a proper
The
definition.
more happier you are, the more happier your environment can become, and the more successful
Hmm.
and more achievement oriented you will become.
Of course, of course. Yes, that's your ultimate motivation. So once you're happy, you get motivated, you work more, and everybody's benefited out of it. Not only you.
100%.
Yes. So yes, and also, as you said, each and every person needs to understand the purpose of his life. So once you understand the purpose, happiness is not far away.
Yes, once you understand your purpose, you're able to unveil the purpose of your life. You're able to kind of, figure out what your passion is. If you're able to understand what is a flow state, then
Mm.
achieving happiness is no longer a challenge.
Yes.
Sustaining happiness may be a challenge because there is no such
Yes.
thing as happiness, but achieving happiness will not be a challenge for you.
Yes, of course, of course. Beautiful, beautiful, Neha. It was lovely talking to you. Your definition and the way you look at happiness, the way you portray it to people, it's really, really lovely.
Thank you so much, Refti. It was indeed a pleasure being here. And I'm glad I
Yes,
could be, I was able to serve and talk to so many people through your particular podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
yes,
Pleasure being
yes.
around with you.
Thank you very much, Neha. And loved talking to you. It was because happiness has been something that we don't really talk about it, right? As a topic. Never. I guess in all these years, happiness has just been like, okay, doing what you love, just being around your family, being with your friends is happiness. But it has become an important part of your life nowadays, especially during the pandemic, if you ask me.
Oh,
So people
yes.
almost
Oh,
forgot
yes.
about it.
Big time.
Yes. So again, you're helping people to find it. So that's a great service that you're doing because whatever you do, you do meditation, you do yoga, whatever you do the job that you love. You be with friends, you be with the people that you love. All you seek is happiness.
During the pandemic, as I think about
Hmm.
it, um, happiness is put at a premium for whatever reason,
Hmm.
Happiness is
Yes.
actually put at a premium. It is believed that happiness is a luxury. It doesn't have to be so. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be so because it is easily accessible to one and all. It is something which is right there within you. You only have to sort yourself and think using different filters, and you're all set. So, that is a message which I aim to put across to people and which I have been able to do so far.
Beautiful.
So far, I have been able to impact almost 20,000 lives. So, it's been a great going for me as well.
Wow, that's a great achievement.
Yeah.
22,000.
Yes.
Really proud that I had you in my podcast today, Neha.
Thank you so much, Riti. Lovely being around.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sure all would have got a better clarity that how and why is happiness a key factor in our lives. To listen to more inspirational stories, tune in to the other episodes of Wominspiria podcast. Wominspiria pages can be found in LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. There's a Wominspiria Tamil podcast as well, in which you can listen to inspirational stories in Tamil. Apart from that, I have a podcast called Shashu and Amma, where I converse with my child about everything under the sun. It's a fun podcast. So until next time, I'll meet you soon. This is Revati signing off from Women's Pedia Podcast, contagiously inspiring. Thank you very much.